My dear brothers and sisters, we plan, we dream, we map out our lives with such precision, believing we know what is best for us. But how often have those plans fallen apart? How often have doors closed in your face, leaving you confused, hurt, and questioning everything? And yet, Allah reminds us in the Qur'an, perhaps you dislike something which is good for you, and perhaps you love something which is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. Let that sink into your heart. You see, what you call a delay is often divine protection. What you call a closed door is often redirection. And what you call loss may actually be the beginning of something far greater than you ever imagined. Imagine a child crying because a toy was taken away, not realizing that something better is being prepared. That is us. We cry over what we lost, unaware that Allah, in His infinite mercy, is writing a story far more beautiful than the one we insisted on. There are moments in life when everything feels silent. Your dawahs seem unanswered. Your efforts feel unnoticed. Your heart grows tired. But in that silence, Allah is working quietly, perfectly, precisely. Think about the times when something didn't go your way, only for you to later realize it saved you. That job you didn't get, that relationship that ended, that journey that never happened. At the time, it felt like everything was falling apart. But later, you saw it clearly. It was falling into place. Allah sends signs, but they come in subtle ways. A conversation you didn't expect, a delay that changed your direction, a hardship that brought you closer to Him. These are not coincidences. These are divine arrangements. And here is the powerful truth. Allah's timing is never early, never late. It is always perfect. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with tawakkul, complete trust in Allah, not passive waiting, but active reliance. You strive, you work, you make dua, but your heart rests in the certainty that Allah's plan will always prevail. When you trust Allah, you stop panicking over every uncertainty. You stop fearing the unknown, because you know the one who controls everything is also the one who loves you more than you can comprehend. But trust alone is not enough. You must prepare yourself. Because what if the blessings you are asking for are already written, but you are not ready to receive them? Prepare your heart with patience. Strengthen your faith with prayer. Cleanse your intentions. Grow through your struggles. Because when Allah's plan unfolds, and it will, you want to be ready to embrace it fully. My dear brothers and sisters, your story is not over. The chapter you are in right now may be painful, confusing, even dark, but it is not the end. It is part of a greater narrative written by the best of planners. So hold on, keep going, keep believing, because Allah is writing a story for you, one that is far better than anything you could have ever planned. And when it finally unfolds, you will look back at every hardship, every delay, every tear, and you will whisper with a heart full of gratitude, "Lie Allah, you knew all along." May Allah grant us hearts that trust Him completely, eyes that recognize His signs, and souls that are content with His decree. We are human beings created with the ability to think, plan, and dream. From a young age, we begin designing our lives in our minds. What we want to become, where we want to go, who we want to be with. We set timelines. We attach our happiness to specific outcomes. We convince ourselves that if things go according to our plan, then we will finally feel at peace. But the reality we often struggle to accept is that our vision is limited, while Allah's knowledge is complete and perfect. When you plan, you are working with what you can see. You calculate based on your current understanding, your emotions, and your desires. But Allah plans with knowledge of the unseen. What has happened? What is happening? And what will happen? He knows the consequences of every path before you even take a single step. While you see a closed door as rejection, Allah sees what lies behind that door and what it could have done to you. While you see a delay as a failure, Allah sees the perfect timing that will protect you, strengthen you, or prepare you. There is a deep comfort in remembering that Allah is Al-Alim, the all-knowing. He knows the silent sawi you whispered in the depths of the night. He knows the intentions hidden in your heart. He knows what you would choose if you could see the full picture. And out of His mercy, He sometimes withholds what you want because He knows it would harm you, even if you cannot understand it now. Think about how often we become attached to our own plans. We insist on a certain outcome, believing it is the best for us. We may even make dua specifically for it, repeating it again and again, emotionally invested in that one direction. But sometimes what we are asking for is not aligned with what we truly need. And Allah, in His wisdom, redirects us, not to punish us, but to protect us and guide us towards something better. The difference between our planning and Allah's decree is like the difference between someone looking at a single thread and someone seeing the entire tapestry. You might focus on one moment, one opportunity, one loss, thinking it defines everything. But Allah sees how every moment connects, how every hardship builds strength, how every delay shapes your character, and how every redirection leads you exactly where you are meant to be. This is why, even when things do not go according to your expectations, there is always wisdom behind it. A missed opportunity might be saving you from regret. A setback might be building resilience you will need later. A hardship might be softening your heart and bringing you closer to Allah in ways ease never could. When you begin to internalize this reality, your perspective starts to shift. You still plan because planning is part of human effort, but you no longer place absolute trust in your plans. Instead, you hold them lightly, understanding that they are subject to the will of Allah. You begin to say, not just with your tongue, but with your heart, if this is good for me, let it happen. And if it is not, then turn it away from me and guide me to what is better. There are moments in life when you pour your heart into something, your effort, your sahim, your patience, and still the outcome does not come the way you hoped. You wait, and nothing seems to change. Doors remain closed, opportunities slip away, and deep inside a quiet question begins to form. Why is this happening to me? It is in these moments that the believer is tested not just in patience, but in understanding the hidden wisdom of Allah. Allah reminds us in the Qur'an that He is Al-Hakim, the most wise. His wisdom is not always visible to us in the moment of pain or confusion. In fact, sometimes it is completely hidden, only becoming clear much later in life or even in the hereafter. What we see as unanswered prayers may actually be answers in a different form. What we perceive as silence may actually be Allah protecting us from something we cannot see. Consider the story of Prophet Yusuf or Joseph. He was thrown into a well by his own brothers, separated from his father, sold into slavery, and later imprisoned despite his innocence. If you look at each of these events individually, they appear as icky, as hardship, as injustice. But when you step back and see the entire story, every single hardship was a step toward a greater purpose. The well led to the palace, the prison led to authority, and the pain led to reunion and honor. What seemed like a series of tragedies was, in reality, a perfectly written plan by Allah. In our own lives, the scale may be different, but the principle remains the same. A delay in something you desperately want might be because you are not ready yet. There may be qualities within you that need to be developed. Patience, humility, reliance on Allah. Without the delay, you might receive the blessing, but not have the strength to sustain it. Or perhaps what you are asking for in its current form would bring harm that you cannot foresee. There are also times when Allah replaces what you wanted with something entirely different. At first, it feels like loss. You mourn what could have been. You replay scenarios in your mind, wondering, what if? But as time passes, you begin to see how that loss redirected you to something more suitable, more beneficial, more aligned with your growth. That replacement was not random. It was a form of mercy carefully placed in your life. Unanswered prayers carry a special kind of wisdom. The Prophet taught that every dua is answered in one of three ways. It is granted as asked, it is delayed for something better, or it is used to remove a harm or saved as reward for the hereafter. This means that no sincere dua is ever wasted. Even when you feel like nothing is happening, something is always happening beyond your perception. Delays also have a way of refining your relationship with Allah. When everything comes quickly, it is easy to become attached to the blessing rather than the one who gave it. But when you are made to wait, you turn to Allah more sincerely. Your zayu becomes deeper, more vulnerable. You begin to recognize your dependence on Him, and that connection becomes more valuable than the thing you were asking for in the first place. Sometimes the delay itself is the gift because it brings you closer to Allah in a way that immediate fulfillment never could. Allah does not always send signs in ways that shake the deeply beneath your feet or split the sky open before your eyes. More often, His signs are subtle, quiet, woven into the fabric of your everyday life. They pass by you in moments that seem ordinary, conversations that feel casual, or delays that appear inconvenient. But for the one who reflects, these moments carry deep meaning. The Qur'an constantly invites us to observe, to think, to reflect on what is happening around us. Not everything is random. Not every encounter is accidental. Sometimes Allah places exactly what you need in your path at the exact moment you need it. But only if your heart is awake enough to recognize it. Think about a time when you were struggling silently, not telling anyone what you were going through. And then suddenly, you hear a reminder, maybe a verse of the Qur'an, maybe a few words from a lecture, maybe even something a friend says without realizing its impact. It feels as though it was meant just for you. That is not coincidence. That is Allah sending you reassurance in a language your heart understands. Or consider those unexpected changes in your plans. You intended to go somewhere, to meet someone, to pursue something, and it didn't work out. At first, it frustrates you. You feel thrown off, maybe even upset. But later, you discover that had you followed your original plan, you might have missed something important or walked into something harmful. That shift, that interruption, was a sign, a gentle redirection from Allah guiding your steps without you even realizing it. Sometimes, signs come through hardship. A difficulty enters your life and forces you to pause, to rethink, to realign. It shakes you out of routines that may have been pulling you away from Allah. It humbles you, reminding you of your dependence on Him. And in that difficulty, there are signs, lessons about yourself, about your enan, about your need for growth. What feels like a burden may actually be a message, carefully designed to bring you back to the right path. Even in nature, Allah places signs all around us. The rising and setting of the sun, the changing of seasons, the way a barren land comes back to life with rain. These are not just physical phenomena, but reminders of renewal, of hope, of the dogo of Allah to transform any situation. Just as the daitui is revived after being lifeless, your circumstances can change in ways you never imagined. But recognizing these signs requires presence. It requires slowing down in a world that constantly pushes you to rush. When you are always distracted, always consumed by noise, it becomes easy to miss what Allah is showing you. Reflection turns ordinary moments into meaningful ones. It allows you to connect the dots between events and see how they are part of a greater plan. There is also a personal nature to these signs. What may be a simple moment for someone else can be deeply significant for you. Allah knows your thoughts, your fears, your hopes, and He sends signs tailored specifically to your situation. A verse you come across may speak directly to your condition. A delay may answer a question you never voiced. A closed door may be the clearest sign that something is not meant for you. Over time, as you begin to notice these patterns, your trust in Allah deepens. You start to see that He is not distant or unaware, but actively involved in your life, guiding you through subtle means. And the more you reflect, the more you realize that Allah has been communicating with you all along, just in ways you were not always paying attention to. There is a profound difference between believing in Allah and truly trusting Him. Belief is knowing that He exists, that He is doer over all things, that He controls every aspect of your life. But trust, tawakkul, is when that belief settles into your heart so deeply that it changes how you react to every situation. It becomes the lens through which you see uncertainty, hardship, and even your future. Tawakkul is not about sitting back and doing nothing. It is not passive, and it is not an excuse to avoid effort. In fact, true reliance on Allah requires action. You plan, you strive, you take the necessary steps, but at the same time, you release your attachment to the outcome. Your heart does not depend on things going your way. It depends on Allah choosing what is best for you. The Prophet beautifully demonstrated this balance when he taught a man to tie his camel and then trust in Allah. This simple example carries a deep message. Take your precautions, fulfill your responsibilities, and then place your trust in Allah. Do not confuse reliance with negligence. Effort is your responsibility. Results belong to Allah. When tawakkul becomes real in your life, it transforms the way you handle fear and anxiety. You begin to understand that whatever is meant for you will never miss you, and whatever misses you was never meant for you. This realization brings a calmness that cannot be explained by circumstances. Even when things are uncertain, your heart remains steady because it is anchored in something greater than the situation itself. There are moments when life feels overwhelming, when plans collapse, when doors close, when the future seems unclear. Without tawakkul, these moments can lead to panic, frustration, and even despair. But with tawakkul, those same moments become opportunities to draw closer to Allah. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Tawakkul also reshapes your understanding of control. As human beings, we like to feel in control of our lives. We create plans because they give us a sense of certainty. But the truth is, control has always been an illusion. No matter how carefully you plan, there are always factors beyond your reach. Tawakkul frees you from the burden of trying to control everything. It allows you to accept that Allah is in control and that His control is perfect, even when it contradicts your expectations. This does not mean you will never feel pain or disappointment. You will still experience heartbreak, setbacks, and moments of yum. But tawakkul changes how deeply those moments shake you. Instead of breaking you, they refine you. Instead of leading you away from Allah, they bring you closer to Him. There is also a quiet strength that comes with tawakkul. It gives you the courage to move forward, even when the path is unclear. You take steps not because you are guaranteed success, but because you trust the one who is guiding your steps. You make decisions knowing that even if things do not go as planned, Allah will create a way forward. And in that space between effort and outcome, between what you do and what Allah decrees, tawakkul becomes the bridge that carries your heart from worry to peace. There is a reality many people overlook. We spend so much time asking Allah for blessings, opportunities, and changes in our lives, but we rarely ask ourselves whether we are truly ready to receive them. We desire ease, success, stability. But preparation for these gifts is just as important as the dua we make for them. Because when Allah gives, He gives with wisdom, and part of that wisdom is ensuring that what He gives you does not become a source of harm. Imagine being handed something valuable before you have the ability to handle it. Instead of benefiting from it, you might misuse it, lose it, or even be overwhelmed by it. In the same way, some of the delays in your life are not denials, but preparation. Allah is shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of what you are asking for. Preparation begins with the heart. A heart attached too strongly to dunya can easily be distracted or corrupted when blessings arrive. But a heart grounded in remembrance of Allah remains balanced. It enjoys the blessing without becoming dependent on it. It is grateful in times of ease and patient in times of difficulty. This kind of heart does not develop overnight. It is built through consistent effort, through prayer, through reflection, through moments of struggle that refine your sincerity. There are qualities that must be nurtured before certain doors are opened. Patience, because some blessings require endurance to sustain. Humility, because success without humility can lead to arrogance. Gratitude, because without it, even the greatest blessings can feel empty. And trust in Allah, because new opportunities often come with uncertainty. And without trust, fear can prevent you from embracing what has been written for you. Think about the times when you received something you once prayed for. At first, it brought joy and excitement. But over time, if your heart was not prepared, that same blessing may have become a source of stress, attachment, or even distraction from Allah. This is why preparation is not just about receiving. It is about preserving the blessing in a way that brings you closer to Allah, not further away. Preparation also means aligning your actions with your ziyashin. If you are asking Allah for success, are you putting in the effort required to achieve it? If you are asking for a tati relationship, are you working on becoming a better person yourself? If you are asking for edu, are you striving in lawful ways and maintaining integrity in your efforts? Your actions are a reflection of how serious you are about what you are asking for. There is also a hidden beauty in preparation. It shifts your focus from impatience to growth. Instead of constantly looking at what you do not have, you begin to focus on who you are becoming. Every challenge becomes part of your training. Every delay becomes an opportunity to improve. And in that process, you begin to realize that the journey itself is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more connected to Allah. When Allah sees that you are ready, not just in your circumstances, but in your character, He opens doors in ways you never expected. Opportunities come at the right time, in the right way, with the right impact. And when they do, you are able to embrace them with gratitude, handle them with wisdom, and use them in a way that brings barakah into your life